Hello, Josh.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, hey Alex. Yeah, Alex, I'll send you an email after the meeting and book something for Friday. So I was thinking, if you do you have time at 2:30 or 2? No, actually should be 1:30. I'll send you invite for 1:30. I'll send you invite for 1:30. Alex, posting. We'll just give people a couple of minutes. Anybody else is going to join? Okay. I'd like to give people a couple minutes. So it's 10:02. We'll wait till 10:05, just a few more minutes. So this is a pretty exciting um, demo in my opinion. I think this demo is kind of like the most interesting thing I've seen in FileMaker. Mm, I'm thinking like WebDirect, like when they first came out with web publishing in FileMaker 4, that was pretty cool. When they came out with WebDirect, maybe in 16, I thought that was really great. So basically, WebDirect, or the other one was FileMaker Go. So basically, um, giving uh, people access to FileMaker data in a new way. I think that's what Go and WebDirect and this, Claris MCP really show us. So, um, yeah, I'll get started. Just one more minute. 10:05. Okay, so I'm going to get started. So, the key insight for this demo and this presentation that I am recording. So if you want a copy of it, you can, email me and I'll share it with you. Fathom will automatically send it to you. So if you don't get it from Fathom, you can ask me and I will resend it. But by default, you do get a copy. So the instigator, or the, seed for this demo is this update that came out in December 11th. And it's taken me a long time to get up to speed with Claude and MCP and AI, but I can finally do this demo. So the slide deck that I'm going to show you basically goes through this page in more detail, plus a real demo. So to make this slide deck, to make my presentation, I actually used Claude to do that. And um, I used the, Claude. Just bring it in. So I used the chat feature, and I have a project called uh, this contacts 100. So it helped me build everything. So let's just get started. Let's do okay. So let me know if I need to make it bigger or, smaller or anything like that. If you can see it, let's just go like this. So, it's messed up the order it's presenting on my big screen. So I'll save it like this, sorry. So bridging AI and FileMaker with Model Context Protocol. So it's, in a way, you can think of it as an API for AI and other applications. So an API is just about, sharing data. So sharing data or doing functions, where MCP actually provides more context that AI needs so that we can give Claude really simple requests. So I'll just skip ahead for a second to give you an idea what those simple requests might be. So a simple request might be sort all companies by number of employees with a count of men and women. So in order for Claude to understand your FileMaker database, it needs kind of like an API to understand the FileMaker database, the structure, the schema, the scripts, and um, yeah, so that's what the MCP does, is the MCP allows us to ask those questions in English. So that's my skip ahead. I'll come back to that in a second. So the interesting thing, with FileMaker and Claude and MCP is that you don't have to learn any new programming languages. You don't have to write any APIs, and it works with your FileMaker setup, as it is. So that being said, you have to create users. You're going to have to create a few things, but it's like um, there's no unusual hacks or anything like that you're going to have to do to get this working. It's all like it was all meant for this. So that's what I meant by it's a new client. Just like you could connect like an iPad with FileMaker Go to your database, we can connect Claude to your FileMaker database. So um, the AI tool, the MCP, so this is the FileMaker part. So Claris has a new tool that builds the gap that does this for us. So you connect your FileMaker database to Claris's, model, its MCP generator, and it builds this. Um, it teaches Claude about your database, your scripts, your fields, all of that. Again, we don't have to do the API. That's already handled. And we don't need to, again, you don't need to configure. We don't need to add anything new. So the native FileMaker integration is you have your existing scripts and Claude can use them. You've got your existing business logic, you've got your existing workflow, all of that stays, and Claude is able to access that. And again, the data is the data that you already have in the database, and I'm going to demo that. So this MCP is a standard that Anthropic, which makes Claude, came up with, I think last year or maybe the year before, and all the other AI companies have since adopted it. So once you've made this, MCP configuration, we can use that for like other like ChatGPT or um, you know, probably Grok or, any other, if you want to use any of the Chinese models like Kimi or whatever, you'd be able to do that. So this is where um, it works with your FileMaker configuration as it is, and this is the work that you're going to want to do, which is decide what data you're sending, what data you're not sending, what permissions you want Claude to have on your behalf. So Claude's the robot, and if you give Claude the permissions to delete records, it's going to delete records. So you're going to ask it, like it'll ask you if you want to delete them, but you just have to be aware that that's a possibility. So ideally, you're going to do your development in a sandbox environment and test it before you deploy it into production. So I'm doing it in a sandbox in a test file, so I can learn about it and test it. And I'd recommend that everybody would do the same. So like WebDirect or FileMaker Go, or perform script on server, all of these things are happening in the context of a user who's logged in. So we're creating a unique Claude MCP user. So there's Josh, the user that logs in with FileMaker Pro, and then I've got another user, or I recommend that you create another user, maybe called Josh MCP or Josh Claude, and then you can grant user permissions as you see fit to your, robot or your AI helper. So, and yeah, of course, because it's native FileMaker, it's just another user. It's logging in as a user on your behalf. Whatever logging you have set up, it's using whatever native FileMaker is set up. Those native logs are being used. Any questions so far? Okay, so this this is the map that finally made it make sense, because all these concepts were pretty abstract, and I needed to get something that was more clear cut. So if we start at the right hand side where we have the FileMaker server, um, you know what you can see here is that we've got OData. So you're going to create a new user called like Josh MCP or Josh Claude. And that user has to have OData and the REST API, the FM REST extended privilege configured, as well as whatever other permissions you want, like create, edit, delete, run scripts, whatever it is, you configure it for that user. And so that means, of course, that you have to have at the server level, you have to have REST and OData configured. And this server, right, in order for that to work, it has to have a public IP. So if your server lives behind a firewall, with a private IP, then this configuration isn't going to work. So that's one of the requirements, is that your FileMaker server is publicly accessible, so that the MCP server, this is the new thing that Claris has come out with to make it work. So this is the glue. And with this glue, you don't have to change anything in your FileMaker server. Like it does all that. You just create, users and permissions like you normally would. And Claris, by adding this MCP server part, interfaces with the AI servers. And this is free. So you'd log into there's a link, you can log into it, and then um, you create your context, you link it to your server, and you point it to your file, and then you tell it what tables you want to view, and then it creates that configuration context that we then put into the Claude settings file. And then the user can chat with Claude, which uses that settings file to connect to the MCP server, to connect to your FileMaker server. And that means that your data is going through all of these channels. So if you have data that, so if your company has privacy and security controls that prevent data from living on third-party servers, then I'll talk about that later, but there are ways that you can do all this locally without any of this leaving your network. But for the time being, I'm going to demo and show you what's publicly available using, off-the-shelf Claris supported tools. So as you can see here, what you're controlling is the tables and fields that are exposed to the AI. So you're actually doing that in two places. You're doing it with the user that you create in FileMaker, like in your database. You create your Josh MCP user. You can control what fields they see. And then again, you can configure that at the MCP server level, as you can further narrow it or control it or whatever. What scripts can be triggered? So again, you can do that in both places. Um, again, of course, privileges via permission set because it's just a FileMaker user. And then the full audit trail is whatever audit trail you've always received in FileMaker server. There's nothing new. It is what you've always had. Yeah. So yeah, we've already discussed this. So at the moment, this processing is in US West only. So this MCP server lives in Amazon in the US West 1 security zone. So we have some clients in, healthcare and power, like larger entities that, have certain policies about where their data resides. And some of them are unable to, like their data must live in Canada. So like I said, that's a special case and we can definitely handle that. So far, so good. So, once again, this is the benefit. This is why you want. So this is at a very simple level, this is the benefit. It can get more exciting after this, and I'll save that for a future demo. So these are all what we would call proactive. These are all active tasks. So you're having to request it, right? So can I have a cup? I'd like a cup of coffee, but it'd be really great if, Claude, and it can do this if it knows you want a cup of coffee. So that Claude has scheduled tasks, so it can do things at, a regular interval. And Claude can build stuff in uh, Claude can build stuff. You see this, Claude here? Claude can build stuff in PowerPoint. So I could talk to Claude in PowerPoint and get it to put stuff into my PowerPoint or put stuff into my Excel sheet. Or I could have Claude automatically generate PowerPoints or spreadsheets on a monthly basis. So that's like a future demo. So this is just like scratching the surface. Create a dashboard, reassign tasks. These are um, low level, in my opinion, because they're reactive instead of proactive. And so it's like, how could we reassign this task to Robert? Like, why is it being, assigned? Like, what happened? And how could we build that rule into a ChatGPT prompt or a Claude prompt? But yeah, the cool thing is I don't have to create scripts for this. So as a FileMaker developer, helping clients, um, we're trying to help them be more resilient, either showing them how to write scripts themselves or showing them features that are baked into FileMaker already, on how to do things. Um, and with Claude, this eliminates the need to even write scripts at all because Claude is doing kind of the scripting on the fly. I mean, it's ephemeral. Like once this is done, like there's no, like we could ask the same question again, but Claude is having to go through the process of generating the answer again. So this is kind of like what we'd be doing before. So if we were building a web app or building like a self-serve reporting portal, like basically Claude becomes a self-serve reporting portal. There's a lot of reporting requests that clients need. The boss wants to know a question. We might have to write a script. We might have to create a portal. We might have to create, a new, report table. Maybe we don't have to do any of that because, Claude is essentially doing that. Claude is actually behind the scenes writing Python and JavaScript and doing all this stuff for us to come up with the reports that we want. So this is the demo part. So the I'm trying to like lay out kind of the three components. So I've got my, FileMaker server. This is my development server. And I've got on that development server, I have my demo database, which is this contacts database. This is the Claris MCP server where I've got the configuration. And then this is the Claude project. So this is the Claude. Um, so this. So this links to this where I've been chatting with Claude after uh, connecting it to my database. So let's have a look at this. So I've made this context and I've linked it. Like I said, I've linked this context this um, to this server and this file. And then what FileMaker automatically discovered was table operations, scripts, and then whatever other stuff. So it invented all of this stuff on its own. I didn't have to do anything. And then what I had to do was configuration. I had to copy I had to copy this code here into a JSON file on my for Claude to use. So if I go over here to Claude in developer, this is what got copied. So this exists, it's running, and this means I can talk to FileMaker. So Claude can talk to FileMaker, Claris proxy through this, and then so using this information here, it can talk to my Olivia database over here. Okay. So just let me know if you have any questions. So I'll pick this here. So I just wanted to show you something before I get started. So in a previous demo, I'm not sure, some of you may have seen it, some of you, maybe didn't, but this is an add-on that FileMaker, gives away for free. And you can just drag the add-on. It's an app assistant. So you can download this, install it, and then put this into all your files. And basically it puts a little chat GPT inside your FileMaker database. And we've had mixed success with it. So in small files and small things, it seems to work really well. But when we put it in larger, more complex solutions, it doesn't work so well. So, or you could say it doesn't work at all. So basically, it's a regular thing. You pick your, AI provider, your API key, you tell it what tables you want, very similar to what the Claris MCP does. And then you get to ask it questions. So one of those questions would be, um, so the reason I picked this question is because it's the data doesn't exist in FileMaker, right? So we don't have, if I just close this. So in here, I don't have any gender. So there's no gender information in this. And the other thing is, um, we don't have the ability to count by the number of employees. So there's no scripts, there's no portals, there's no calculation fields. So the concept of number of employees doesn't exist because there's not even the concept of company. This is a context database. There's no company, just pure context. So this is like an amazing query, like um, patting myself on the back. But basically, this query is demonstrating what you can do with ChatGPT or with AI in general and how it can help staff do ad hoc reporting. So if we ask, so this is the answer, right? It works great. So it's counting, but we're not getting that. So this could be the model. So often we can change it from mini, maybe so we could try like a more expensive one. So, sometimes the more you spend, the better the results you get. And no, it failed. So I guess mini is a better, oh, no. So anyway, so this is doing it all inside FileMaker. So instead of doing it inside FileMaker at all, we're going to do it from Claude. And Claude, with its bigger brain, is going to talk to the MCP and then get the data for us. And let's see what Claude can do for us. So first, let's go to Claude. And let's say, um, do you have access to contacts 100 add-on FileMaker database? Okay, that's great. So then I'm going to paste in my query. So this is significantly more work. It's got a bigger brain. It's doing more stuff with it. It's taking more time. So you'll see I'm running Opus. So um, Claude has 3 models at the moment, Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus. And Opus is the most expensive. It really feels like you're talking to somebody that knows what they're doing. And then I've got the extended thinking turned on to give me even better results. So these are the other ones. So it does take longer, but um, I'm getting more interesting results. So while it's working, um, yeah, it's giving us a graph. Isn't that exciting? To me, this is just, yeah, mind blowing. Yeah, so I mean, I think that's amazing. Stunning. Yeah. So yeah, that's the power of, connecting Claude to your FileMaker data. So, then what you can do is you can say, I'm not actually going to do this, but you could say build a PDF report or create an Excel file or create a PowerPoint, and it will do that with the information that you provided. Okay, so this is just the reporting side, which I think is like really, astonishing and useful. So we don't like to have a FileMaker developer build that, or for you guys to build this. Like I said, you'd have to create a contact table. We'd have to create a new field for gender. We'd have to figure out a script to come up with determining their gender based on names, and we get all that essentially for free with Claude. Okay, so it did what it did. No scripts, no reports, just a question. And, some of these questions we would give up on trying to ask because the time it would take to build is not worth it. But now anything you might think of, you can quickly and easily get your data, get answers to your questions. Whereas before, like I said, you might just give up because it's too much or too hard to do. Okay, but if that was, but wait, there's more. FileMaker has given us the ability to, my free meeting ends in 10 minutes. Yep, so we've got 10 more minutes. So we've got the ability to create and delete records. So it's a full user. So I can do this. Oh, sorry, I don't want that. I want this. Okay, so if you look here, you've got 100 records, right? So after this, we're going to have 101. So, and remember, all these scripts and prompts could be part of a much bigger prompt, right? I'm doing it like in a demo very simply, but we've got 101 records now. We can go to the end. There we are. She's here, but we want to do more. Um, we'll skip the search. We'll promote her. So I'll just say she is now VP of Sales. Okay, VP of Sales. So to me, this is like I said, the most, mind-blowing upgrade since, web publishing or FileMaker Go. So now what we can do is we will delete her. And it will go from 101 to 100. So we've got full access scripting. I didn't show you scripting, but it can do scripting. It can do create, update, all of that. And we got 100 records. So the other thing I can do, which I'm not going to do, is we can update like a fill down, find all the Harborview finances and change the company to Harborview Capital. So again, for like staff, like having to do this, like they don't have scripts, like they'd have to call a FileMaker developer. It's just being able to do this simply, it can make a big difference. If you do make a mistake, you know, potentially you might have to go to a backup, but in the next sentence, you can change them all back. So, giving Claude to staff is a great way to eliminate, specialized training or, people don't use the database very much. They don't remember how to do certain things. We can build that into Claude scripts, Claude prompts, and Claude logic. So, um, again, this is just like another, demo. Yeah. So other things that you can do, that's very much like the report where we found and sorted all the people. This is the dashboard that we already made. We got that. Yeah, so automate repetitive tasks. Uh, yeah, that's good. Phase now. So in the future, we're going to get more data centers. So the same as FileMaker Cloud. So there is more coming. So these are some issues with Claude. So there are limits. So if you are a heavy Claude user, you may have to like go to a bigger plan, like spend more money. The Claude config, so that JSON config that we got from the FileMaker AI has to live on each user's desktop. So if you want to give this to 20 people, you have to configure 20 people's desktops. That being said, that's like, 10 to 15 minutes per person. So it's a very small effort, but it is a real effort that you have to do. And I already talked about the rate limits. So I already talked about you have to make FileMaker users for MCP. So I recommend that, Joshua underscore MCP so that you can control it. And this is, cutting edge technology. So there's going to be some rough edges. That being said, it's been in the market since December 2025. So this is a screen for, um, the two paths. So this is the Claris MCP official. Yep. Thank you. So this is what I've just demoed. So I think I got this set up like in about 2 hours, for the first time. If I had to do it again, I'd probably cut that number in half. But that is sharing your data with, the internet. So if you're allowed to do it, you're allowed to do it. If you're not, then we have to do this community open source approach where all of your code lives on your own servers. So the FileMaker server lives on site, your MCP server lives on site, and your AI lives on site. So the MCP server is, a small, not a big component, but the AI server typically, would be Mac Studio or anyway, like your AI server is going to be a minimum of 10 grand, maybe 20, depending on how many users. In some cases, if you wanted 100 people, it'd be more like 500 grand. So a significant investment. So in the meantime, we're using um, the Claris, this one. So if you're ready to get started, if you have some questions, email me, Joshua at Neocode Software. And like I said, you will get a copy of this demo. So I really appreciate your attending. Like I said, email me if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to do this demo again for you or management, whatever. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye, everybody.